Extra Time Radio, driven by Continental Chicago Fire. Shout out. They gave all of us a special gift, a bobblehead from our favorite city, the home of Susannah. Susannah, are you pumped?
No.
Susannah, where's yours?
Where is mine? Good question.
Where is Susannah's? It's a mystery. Extra Time starts now. From New York, you are listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental from the AT&T MLS Studios in Midtown Manhattan. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, Susannah Collins, David Goss, Bobby Warshaw. Yes, Bobby? Can I help you?
You start over. I didn't get my timing right.
Oh.
Will you do it all again?
No, I'm not going to.
Because you like to impersonate him?
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on?
I had to rush through it and just...
I'd like to say I thought it was super professional of Bobby to try and pause the intro of the show while it's happening.
And now, look, we're just going to keep going. We're going to charge right through. Bobby, you know that normally I will let you take the reins to host this show, but I felt good about that one, so I'm not going to this time.
You were in good voice?
I felt so, too.
I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
What a start.
By the way, we've added some color to the AT&T MLS studio here.
I don't know.
We've got our Extra Time scarf provided by Continental, which I think about 400 of you mugged David and I in Orlando for at the All-Star game.
Not just Orlando. They also kind of look Louisville City out.
Yeah, a little bit of Louisville City,
Shout out
too.
to Elville.
And thank you to the Sporting KC comm staff for sending me this University of Kansas / Sporting KC scarf.
Oh, it's a KU scarf?
It is.
Oh, cool.
It kind of. Yeah.
Is it being investigated right now?
Yeah.
Rock chalk, am I right?
You know what? We do right by our players, Dave.
Rock chalk.
I don't know that for a fact, but I know that in a general sense that we do. And also, the Chicago Fire hit us with a Shimmiswav Frankowski bobblehead and a Dax McCarty one, which we will hold near and dear to our hearts.
I'm angry.
They are beautiful.
I'm salty.
So, and the point of this is, what happened to yours?
Okay, so the Chicago Fire send these bobbleheads, and apparently everybody that's on the show gets a personalized letter. Simon Borg got a letter, and I'm sorry, who's the only person from Chicago sitting at this table? Me, who got completely left out. Me. So
sorry.
Chicago Fire.
It's pronounced
what is up?
Chicago.
Gee, listen, it's Chicago, okay? Listen.
Sorry, I think my accent's more accurate than yours, Susanna.
I am looking at you, Chicago Fire.
Whoa.
Guys, where's the love? All I have done is shown you love. And I get nothing in return, and I'm not kidding. I'm salty.
Guys, I'm pretty excited. Chicago Fire, MLS Cup favorites. We've got an opportunity to talk about them now.
The one thing I was hoping for this year was a Shimmiswav Frankowski bobblehead, and now I have it. So everything's coming
I'm expecting a personalized bobblehead, a Susannah Collins.
I used to have an Andrew Wiebe Chicago Fire bobblehead, and I can't find it right now.
So clearly he values this.
You know what?
This is important.
You're from Chicago. I vacationed in Chicago as a child a number of times.
Aww.
So
See,
we did it. We did it.
Midwest forever.
Tour? I love the
isn't it great?
Okay, all right. Look, let's talk about some soccer here. We have some housekeeping to do when it comes to the last 2 weeks of the season because they are here. The regular season is almost over. All the games are on Sunday, both this Sunday and the next on Decision Day, presented by AT&T. But before we get to any of that, who is ripping their shirt off and swinging it above their head? Chris Wondolowski,
like a helicopter.
an absolute legend. He loses control, and he admitted so in the game before and got a red card for yelling at the referees. And so instead of being in the box or watching at home or, sulking wherever he might sulk, Chris Wondolowski, the legend, says, I'm going to go sit in the very front of the San Jose Supporters Group section, and I'm going to be a supporter. And this is fitting because if Chris Wondolowski wasn't the all-time leading scorer in MLS history, if he wasn't the Quakes' best forward, he probably would be in that exact spot in the front of the supporter section going crazy.
Just showing off the Superman tattoo.
Yeah,
the farmer's
he belongs
stand.
there.
It was perfect.
He belongs there.
He looked so in his element. It was so much fun to watch. I was like, man, I just want to go watch a game with Wondo.
Yeah.
Just get crazy.
2 T-shirts, which Wondo, I don't recommend that. I guess he probably had to pull one over to represent. Bobby, would you do this? Have you ever done it? Have you known people that
Bobby's
did it?
not a man of the people. What? You're a snob, dude. There's no way. There's no way.
I would have loved to have done it. I did not do it, but I will say this has to be one of the best moments in league history, doesn't it? One of the best moments of the year, at least. We're going to be talking about this 10 years down the line. Remember when Wondo got in the stands and ripped off his shirt with the Ultras?
Bobby's in the middle of unbuttoning, so he might do it right now.
You got me shook, David.
But it's on the heels of Almeida like kicking it in the stands.
Yeah.
And like,
Oh,
I mean,
that's
like this is
multiple
like,
times.
I mean, this is just like a San Jose thing.
Yeah,
They
Almeida
are
was
all
probably-
in.
He was probably
They're
like,
all
Wondo,
in.
it's actually way more fun if you're in the crowd. You get a hot dog.
Oh, God.
Hey, largest bar and outdoor bar in North
Lobina.
America.
He could have been at the Lobina, and he chose not to. That's a big
Well, he
decision by
probably
Wondo.
spent time at both.
Maybe went back and forth. I don't think so. He was in the front.
He was
He was calling for red cards. He was, disappointed with the defeat. We will get back to that in just a second as we go through the midweek results. It was one of those Wednesdays that got a little bit of something going in Bobby Warshaw. It was like a fountain.
We haven't
it's
had
like,
many this year. Wednesday in MLS is usually a phenomenal day. We haven't had them this year. It was back. We had it.
Yeah, so you're going to see that from Bobby this whole show. He is, it's been bubbling up this entire morning.
Fired up.
Before we get to, again, as I said, just a little housekeeping, I do have to get this in here because it is related to the fans. MLS announced that it has suspended its prohibition on the iron front flag for the remainder of the 2019 season, including the playoffs. So that A United Front hashtag you've probably been seeing going around, the supporters, MLS, they had their meeting, they had some conference calls. They figured this thing out, at least for the rest of 2019. We will see what happens beyond that, but I think it's good news for everybody at this table, certainly good news for the supporters out there that were sticking to their guns, and good news for Major League Soccer as well. Hope you were watching on Wednesday. Now you got to watch 2 Sundays. This Sunday, the Eastern Conference at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then the West at 7:30. All the games happening at once because there's a lot of playoff implications going on. You don't want people watching the scoreboard then being like, we didn't have to field the first team. No big deal. Matchday Central, Susannah. It's going to be you, Kayla, Bobby, and Doyle. That's your preview at 4:30. Then you're going to wrap it all up at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. MLS channels, you know this by now, MLSsoccer.com, the app, Twitter, Facebook. And then on Decision Day, presented by AT&T, October 6th, the final day, all 12 matches, 4 p.m. Eastern. 3 to 4, we have your warm-up, I guess I'm going to call it. Myself, Kayla, Charlie Doyle, and Jimmy Conrad, the man.
Mr. AT&T himself.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The man, the myth, the legend will be here.
I just want him to wear the AT&T socks again. He has AT&T socks.
I'm actually here for the beam in.
Yeah.
Just like, we'll have to work on
AT&T
that.
proprietary technology right now.
Yeah,
Able
work
to
on that
transport.
that software. We got the pregame, then the postgame, and of course all the games at 4 p.m. And they have the whip around. I believe ESPN has Decision Day this year. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. I should know that.
Yes,
I think
they do.
That's correct.
Yes, they do. Because they are deciding their flex scheduling. They don't even know which game
I
they're
don't
going to
know
be
where
showing.
I'm going yet because
Samesies.
they haven't decided. So
Bobby,
it's
where do you
You
all.
want to go? You want to barter this?
So
No,
I
Bobby,
no.
you're going to Dallas or Orlando. Don't even try to.
No, it's not Dallas.
I
Orlando. It's Dallas,
really
KC.
Frisco.
Portland, San Jose, because I think that could be. I mean,
But no, because ESPN's going to pick that game. So that's
I know,
out.
but
You
that's
don't get
why
that.
that's you don't know. They could still pick Atlanta because it's going to be Ben's at home. Like they like
Yeah.
the Ben's. I don't know.
NYCFC Philly's a good one on Decision
Yep.
Day.
I just say for our producers, they appreciate we're killing 2 birds at one stone. We're scheduling ourselves and producing a show.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
Chris, Anders, you guys can just go home.
You're welcome.
So did somebody bring the confetti cannons here, or how are we doing this LAFC Supporters Shield celebration? Are we?
You have a black hat.
I do have a black hat on. Should
You
I
have no
should I
gold.
do this little raise your head
Yeah.
up? Yes, LAFC Supporters Shield
There it
champions
is.
2019. 68 points has sealed it for the black and gold. 3-1 win against the Houston Dynamo on Wednesday night. Vela goal, Rossi goal, Atuesta goal. Extremely fitting way for them to win this thing. They celebrated it big time in front of their fans. Walker Zimmerman said this is what we wanted, and that's what they got. Their first trophy in club history. We've been just kind of waiting for this moment. It's felt inevitable. The probabilities said it was inevitable, but then they went and didn't win for 5 games, and then it felt just a tad less inevitable, but it still was. They could set the all-time points record. They have 2 more games, so they could get to 74 points. We know that 71 is the record set by the Red Bulls last year. They're at Minnesota next Sunday, and then Colorado at home to finish the season. Bobby, you've waxed poetic about LAFC, their season, what they've done for basically the last couple months. What does this mean for them, for the league overall?
Well, for the league, it means you have to up your game, right? Atlanta did it, like I guess we should say, Toronto did it 3 years ago. Atlanta did it the last 2 years. Now LAFC. LAFC in the regular season has been better than Atlanta were last year. Atlanta fans don't like to hear it.
What about Red Bulls?
Yeah, dang. Red Bulls got 71. I just said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. No, it's an incredible part of that, right? That we don't, if you to ask who the record is,
Yeah.
people would almost definitely, including myself, that is a
Did
really,
you just roundabout
yeah.
slander the Supporters Shield? You know what? I'm just glad for you that Doyle's not here.
Not at all. I have no idea where to take this now.
Go back to LAFC, what they've done, and why it's special.
I'm going to pass this one off to David.
Hey, here goes the baton. Are you ready for this, Dave?
Yeah, I would say, I think his point with Atlanta was Atlanta built a club in a certain way, or a team, and LAFC was similar but a little bit different in the way they used some of their allocation abilities, like expansion draft, ability to go out and get maybe even younger players, trust a guy like Mark Anthony Kaye, but they had a belief in the way they wanted to play soccer. They did it at the highest level we've ever seen it done in Major League Soccer, and they did it for a really long stretch, which opens the door to every other team to say, why don't you do it? Bob Bradley was able to do this, yes, with Carlos Vela, but also with Mark Anthony Kaye, with Eddie Atuesta, with Walker Zimmerman, who was already in this league.
So, blessing.
Exactly. So what LAFC built is incredible. It's interesting. It was also beautiful to watch over the course of this year, and we expect it to be as well in the playoffs. And it was just, I think, a good moment for MLS to say spending matters, but ideals matter, philosophies matter, the way you run an organization matters. They've done all of that correctly, and they deserve what they've gotten. And I think we're going to be a better league for it because other clubs are now, it's a copycat league, going to follow what they've done.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly.
Perfect. It's just nice to see them celebrate this, to get Susannah what I think they've earned.
Oh, they've earned it wholeheartedly. I mean, as you said, we've been waiting for this, and all season long, I mean, just the consistency has been incredible all season. And so to watch them, and I every time I go to Bank of California Stadium, I am so struck by the supporters and how real it is, because when a new team comes into a league, a lot of times you think, oh, maybe this is just forced, but it is, they are some of the loudest fans in Major League Soccer that we have. They don't sit down. I love it when they do the thing when they're like moving from side to side. I mean, they are as passionate as they come. And so this is legit. This whole thing is legit. And to Goss's point, I mean, they've just completely raised the bar. And so I've been at matches where they've, celebrated in front of the fans. It's just, it's so legitimate. And I'm just really, really happy that it happened at home, that they were able to have that moment with them. Because as we all have said, they earned it. They deserved every second of that celebration.
And to win, by the way.
Yeah.
Like Walker Zimmerman said it, but you don't want to get it. They earned it in April.
Yes.
But you don't want to get it when someone else loses, when NYCFC drops a result, like to win. And as you said, I think if you took any fan from around the world and you bring them in and you watch the 32-52 jump back and forth that way, I think every fan around the world will be blown away. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's the culture on both sides. So Bob built the culture, and part of that culture helped build the fan base. But the fans did it as far as their side. And I remember when we went to Bank of California for the opening, it was already there. They hadn't had a home game. And they already had something that was there, that was their own, that they were starting to build, that there was an incredible foundation.
All the fans we talked to at that tailgate were like, yeah, I've been with them for years. And you're like, but this is the first game. They're like, no. 3 years running supporters group. And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's awesome. And congratulations, LAFC. Well-deserved. We'll see how many points you get, whether you do indeed become the best regular season team of all time in Major League Soccer.
How much do you care about them winning MLS Cup?
I think it matters a lot.
I wrote a column saying they got to do it.
We've had this conversation on the show before about, I feel like we anointed them the best team in MLS history, and I was like, no, we can't do that yet. We're jumping the gun. They have to win MLS Cup. I mean, they can break that points record, but in order for us to really back up that statement, I think they have to win MLS Cup.
I think there's also a wrinkle here, Bobby, and I'm just going to throw it at you this way, because Atlanta United didn't win Supporters Shield last year, but they did win Cup. Before that, the greatest all-time team you could say with the treble, Toronto FC, they did both, but they did it in a different way. They both had to either play or win away from home in the Audi MLS Cup playoffs. LAFC will not have to do that. It will be a different thing. So that Supporters Shield, people are like, I don't really value the Supporters Shield. Well, it matters not just for the trophy, but now because their path to MLS Cup includes 0 flights, no movement. You just hang out at home. You just come to us. So you just have to win home games at this point. And I believe you only have to win 3. Conference semis, conference finals, and then MLS Cup. There's only 3 games to get there, which for me further reinforces that they have to win that to claim that all-time best tag. We could argue all you want about whether this team would beat 2017 Toronto, or if this team would beat last year's Red Bulls team in their prime, or Atlanta United, or whatever. I think they got to win it.
Good answer. I was thinking of a different question, and the fact that last year there were 4 or 5 good teams in the same tier, whether it was Atlanta, Red Bulls, Portland, Seattle, even LAFC, even Columbus. You felt that they were all in a bunch. There's no bunch this year, is there? It's LAFC and then everyone else. Maybe NYCFC is the closest, but there is a definitive best team. How much does it matter to you? I've said many times, underdogs are for losers. Get underdogs out of here. They're not good for sports. I want LAFC. I want the best
the
team.
Giants from Mechanicsburg.
I want the best teams to win. Am I alone on that, or does it matter to you guys as well that the best team over 34 games also lifts the major cup in the end?
I approve that message. I would warn you that I have spent the last 3 days with Revs fans jumping down my throat for saying I hope that they lose in the first round because I would like the better teams through the regular season to win.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I would like that because I just think it validates the regular season more and the playoff process. But the flip side of that is you got to earn it. So if they don't earn it, that will be just as telling on them as it would be on the team that pulls the upset. Here's a question for you. In regards to the upset, who wants to be a 4 or 5 seed in the West?
You put that, though. But wouldn't the 4 or 5 seed play the 1 seed in the second round?
Sure.
One versus 4 or 5?
I'm more talking about 2 versus 7 because it's the biggest gap in any matchup that you could have unless the 7 seed gets all the way to the conference finals. That's just what I was saying. Let's go back to who wants to be the 4 or 5 seed. Because right now, LAFC are waiting for you. And on the flip side of this, in the West, you have a bunch of teams like Minnesota, LA. Right now, it'd be Portland or FC Dallas on the other side. Like, I would rather play Minnesota United or LA in that first round and then get to avoid and play the next one, whoever wins among those two or among 6 or 7, then jump right to LAFC. Like, I would put off LAFC for as long as possible. And the same goes for me in the East.
Okay.
So simplify this for me. Would you rather be 4 or 6? Because 5, obviously, you'd rather be home than away.
Right.
The question is, would you rather play a home game and then play LAFC, or would you rather play away to avoid LAFC?
It's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Point Dave.
Boom. Done. Show over.
Point Dave.
Gronkowski.
I mean, if you're the Portland Timbers, you'd rather play on the road, yeah?
Right now? Oy.
Right? You'd rather play on the road.
Yeah, that's a given.
Oh.
That's a given.
So, and if you're FC Dallas, you haven't been that good at home either. Like, does it really matter? Like,
They just
is it
want to
that
get
big
in.
of a difference?
Dallas wants to get in this year.
Okay. All right.
a
I'll
win.
explore this question a little better in my column, I think. I didn't phrase that as well as I wanted
I just
to.
think the main thing is when you look at the Western Conference right now, you just want to get as high as you can. Like, I would understand what you're saying in terms of if Portland had already clinched and they were just thinking about seeding now, I could understand we'll rest some guys and whatever happens because we don't want to push too high. Right now, just the way that the West has worked out, you have no choice in that you have to play your best group every single game.
Yeah, my conscience just got in my ear. That's producer Anders, and he whispered, FC Dallas have only lost once at home
Yeah, I don't know
all
why
year
you
this
said
year.
that.
So I look pretty dumb for saying that right now.
Agree.
Ultimately,
But standard for the show.
ultimately, you want to be 2 or 3 seed on either side to try to avoid the top seed for as long as possible. I guess that's just pretty sound logic. Anybody got the confetti cannons reloaded? We're good on that, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, blow them back up, baby. Canadian
Allez,
Championship.
allez.
Montreal Impact taking Toronto FC down. The reign of the Reds is over. They had won 3 straight Voyager Cups, and they will not win this one because they can't win in penalty kicks.
How wild is it that I understand for a tournament like this, the format changed a lot, but there'd never been a PK shootout to decide a Voyagers Cup championship.
That is wild. Because it's
you
a
remember
wild
like the crazy
competition.
Will Johnson goal at the end in Vancouver?
Yeah, he hurt himself on that goal, didn't
right.
he? Yeah.
But it was deserved for Montreal, one, because they should have had a penalty kick earlier to basically be up that Toronto would need 3 goals on aggregate. But otherwise...
Can we tell people why? Because Auro,
Yeah.
like hand of God, Diego Maradona, Thierry Henry style across the box.
defensively.
Well, right. More Thierry Henry, I guess. Dove across the box and knocked it out of the way.
Yeah.
But a bigger point here, Susannah, Wilmer Cabrera is the champion of North America, not
Champion
just
of North
Canada,
America.
of the U.S. as well, because he just won the Open Cup last year.
Only manager to do so, you guys. Yeah. Wilmer Cabrera. Entire show should just be a Wilmer Cabrera appreciation day.
Oh, by the way, did you see the post-game press conference?
I don't know if I didn't.
No, because you know what happened? Wilmer Cabrera is at the dais or whatever they call it, the podium, the mic, and the entire team comes into his post-game press conference, jumps on the table, and continues celebrating with him in the middle of the post-game press conference. That's how much it meant to the Montreal Impact.
Well, honestly, it was good to see something good happen for Montreal. They've been a weird team this year. This
is enough, right?
Has been so weird.
We can agree this is enough.
Yes.
Winning this championship means more than making it into the playoffs and getting eliminated.
Well, and CCL is a tournament that they've been successful at before. I
played men's league with Cam Porter last week.
Oh.
He's still got it, guys.
Oh.
Montreal, if you need him, he can still do it.
Speaking of someone who's taken their shirt off and whipped it over their head, who's going to do the Frank Klopas? Nobody? Nobody?
Wilmer might, though. The thing is, Wilmer might.
Oh,
Don't put that out
that's
of it.
true. Wilmer might.
I want Wilmer to just
CCL.
like keep growing the fro like
Yeah.
bigger and bigger, you know? Like that's just
It
like
pl- it-
I feel like, you know, you start now, you win this tournament, just let it go.
Does this keep
that good
Piatti?
juju.
That's a side thing
Oh,
here. Does
wow.
the chance to play in CCL keep Ignacio Piatti, who said he wanted to leave? The team president disputed it. Maybe a little side drama there?
I am here for that.
Yeah,
Anything we can do to keep Nacho in Major League Soccer.
Nacho in CCL,
Here for.
Bojan in CCL, whatever else happens for them, they're going. That's great for them. Tsubasa Indo had the goal for Toronto. I think that's his second goal in like 2 games.
I think it's his third goal.
Oh,
in,
really?
3 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, that's big time for him. But
been
Josie
on.
smacked the crossbar. Pat Mullins had a not very good penalty save that he rushed. Like, don't rush the PK, Pat.
Well, I don't know that he rushed it. I think that might just be his thing.
Oh, as soon as the whistle blows, he just.
Well, he did it on purpose, yeah.
Yeah.
To try and catch the goalkeeper to feel comfortable. I don't know. Everyone's got their own thing.
That's true.
It works for very
his
few
thing,
people.
Yeah. And then Jonathan Osorio banged the post. So, as I said, Toronto FC 2016 MLS Cup, 2018 CCL Final, 2019 Canadian Championship. PK losses on all of them. But, yeah, here
Michael
for
didn't
this.
shoot this time, so
Here for
can't
Montreal
blame him.
Impact winning the Canadian Championship. They're on to the 2020 CCL. We're going to get to who else is maybe in that as well, because it looks like NYCFC will be. They have not officially clinched it just yet, but they did send a message. Atlanta United comes to Yankee Stadium. 4-1 whooping. Alexandru Matrita. Woo! 3 goals in the first half.
You should have
3
said
goals in 33 minutes, I
Yeah.
think. Quick Hattie. Also, Maxi Morales missed the penalty kick in the first half, so it would have been 4-0
Yeah.
at halftime.
Eber comes back. He gets a goal.
Yeah.
I love him.
I love him too.
15 goals.
15 goals.
15 goals. When did he
And-
come?
and
When did he get here?
Who doubted that signing just a little bit? Bobby, you just rubbing your face?
Bobby doesn't
or?
even know what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. I doubted Matrica too. Do not doubt City Football Group and their scouting network. That is what we've learned. They have not. Is there a single player on that roster that they've missed? I don't think so.
Sort of.
Who?
Jesus Medina?
Jesus
Yeah,
Medina was
Jesus
great
Medina.
last year. He almost got bought.
Like
he
4
almost.
months.
he
Now he
almost-
can't start.
Yeah, but is that more about Domi Trent or he's like? It's
I
not. It's
don't
not the
know.
fact that he's bad. He's just not good enough or better than all the others. Jesus Medina almost got sold to France last year.
Well, did he,
Remember
or did his agent say he was about to?
Oh, I see what you're doing here.
We'll get to a little bit of agent tapping up later because those things happen. I don't know. Medina was really good last year. He has been a non-factor this year, and maybe that does come back down to scouting, as you said, Bobby, because Matrica and Eber and Maxi and Castellanos as well to add another one to that mix.
This is
Tinnerholm
like
has been great.
winning by committee for NYCFC. They don't have like the David Villa this year. You know, there's not one superstar. It's not like they have a Zlatan. We talked about this on This Week in MLS, and so I feel like they have been a team that's kind of gone under the radar in terms of how good they actually are because there isn't one guy that's doing it all. There's not one guy that's grabbing all the headlines. But in many ways, that means that they're just a really darn good team.
Yeah. They've gone away from remember the start? It was David Villa who, look, is David Villa and is an MVP and is incredible and was the absolute foundation of that team for 3-4 years. But like they were the Pirlo team, they were the Lampard team. And it seems like City Football Group was like, hey, wait a minute. Like that was just for the first couple years. That's what we were going to build a little bit of a name off of. And now let's flip it. Let's go to maybe guys you didn't know, but look, I think Matrica still cost like $8 million or something like that.
Yeah,
It's one of the record
the
signings.
fifth most expensive.
Yeah,
signing
like
in
it's not
league
like they
history.
cheaped out.
No.
They just changed their profile a bit.
A different identity, and it's working.
I wrote
Lions,
last.
Chanot, both hits as well. Just want to throw that out.
To Susanna's point, I wrote last night in the column, Maxi Morales, the best attacking midfielder in the East. Alex Ring, the best defensive midfielder in the East. Matrica, the most dangerous winger in the East. Anton Tinnerholm, the best right back in the East. Chanot and Collins, and maybe if you add Ibiago or Sands, the best center back pairing, depending on how the Red Bulls are playing, depending on how LGP is playing in the East. Sean Johnson, the best goalkeeper in the East. So Susanna, you're exactly right. Every single player throughout that first 11 is elite right now.
That is the team to beat in the Eastern Conference, no doubt about it. We saw just a little snapshot of Atlanta without Joseph. What did you guys see from Atlanta or didn't see from Atlanta? Is this like one where you're like, oh no, this is bad news because this could, this is who they have to get by in the playoffs? Or is it just like, oh, well, yeah, you don't have Joseph, you went to Yankee Stadium, nobody wins there?
I am always a fan of system over personnel. You guys know that. I still do not think that you can or should play Brandon Vazquez at center striker over Tito Villalba right now. I mean, at some point, You just need to get Vela. Like, how bad did he look at left wing back? And Brandon Vazquez, a good player, maybe has a spot in MLS, cannot start for your team at striker when you're trying to play the big dogs in the playoffs. That's the first thing they've got to change. Put Villalba up top, let PT, let Barco, let those guys figure it out. I understand that De Boer wants his system. It might not work with Villalba there, but let your star players figure it out.
You mentioned LGP.
Ooh.
LGP in this game is probably like still dizzy somewhere because Mitricha was just spinning him in circles. Hit on the cut, moving inside, that little burst to get you space to shoot. It's absolutely incredible. Now, we have had a bunch of people ask us, as NYCFC have risen up the table, where will they play their playoff games? Because, as Steve Cangelosi reminds us on Twitter here, Kanji Man, baby, you hear his voice on MSG broadcasts for, I think, the Devils, but also, of course, the Red Bulls. That's where we know him the best. Steve says Steve has a terrific team. That is correct. But isn't it highly possible that no MLS playoff games will be at Yankee Stadium? NYCFC likely to draw a bye for playoff games October 19th and 20th. If the Yankees advance to the World Series, again, producer Chris back in the back room, not our conscious, but maybe our baseball
Go
expert.
Stros.
He says that the Yankees are very good and likely to do that. Does that not eliminate the Bronx as a venue for games the 23rd, 24th, and or the 29th and 30th? I have no idea because I don't follow baseball at all, but I'm trusting Steve and I'm trusting Chris. What's that mean? And then if they make the MLS Cup, Princeton versus Dartmouth at Yankee Stadium on November 9th. I don't know what any of this means. I guess we'll get some news soon.
You've got a backyard. I've got a massive backyard.
I do have a backyard.
No,
we could play the first half at your backyard and the second half on my backyard.
Guys, pop-up. It could be an MLS Cup pop-up.
Yeah, look, we're
Brooklyn,
clearly joking
we
here
could do
right
it in
now,
Brooklyn. Yes, we are. But we could find some room in Prospect Park.
Let's do it at
just remove
Smorgasburg.
Smorgasburg.
Yeah.
Food.
Get a ramen burger.
All
It'd be
pretense
great.
of seriousness because look, Citi Field could be an option. They have some events. I'm just going to whisper it. Red Bull Arena is also around. MetLife, I think, would be out. I think you told me that the Jets-Giants play around some of these times.
No,
I
they
don't know.
play each other.
But football games are
on
played
MLS
at MetLife.
Cup.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't pay attention.
Wow.
But Staten Island Yankees.
What about where the Brooklyn Cyclones play?
Yes,
I
very
love that
cool.
little ballpark.
Coney Island.
Coney Island.
You could maybe
we could
watch-
go to Nathan's. We could eat some hot dogs.
Yeah.
There's a brewery in that stadium.
Woo!
You could ride the Cyclone, and at the top, you might be able to see the game.
We could do a hit. We could do like a Matchday Central hit.
Didn't-
Susannah at the top of the Cyclone. Get a little GoPro. I have it all figured out.
Pier
Have you
5.
ridden that thing?
What's that?
Have you ever ridden that thing?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah,
It's
that thing is
terrifying.
rickety. Yeah.
It's terrifying.
It is rickety.
Scary. We'll see what happens here, but that is something to follow with NYCFC. What happens to Yankee Stadium and the Yankees in the playoffs? But congratulations to them. They did not clinch because Philly won in San Jose, the first spot in the East, but it certainly looks like they will, and when they do that, they will clinch a CCL fever place. Right now, LAFC have one, Supporters Shield. They had one before because they were going to finish atop the West. Atlanta, yes, I'm sweating. I'm clammy. It's the beginnings. Atlanta United won the Open Cup, so they have a CCL place. Montreal Impact, they won Canadian Championship, so they have a CCL place. And then I expect NYCFC, I'm just going to give it to them at this point, have that CCL space. So that would leave one spot remaining for MLS Cup, which LAFC, Atlanta, and NYCFC have a 78% probability of winning that per 538. And should they win that, a team that has already qualified for CCL, the next best record in Major League Soccer would move into that spot and they would be seeded as the U.S. Open Cup team. So that right now would be the Philadelphia Union. Okay? How's that field for you? Everybody like that field? Feels like a pretty good one?
Yeah.
Two best teams in the league, LAFC and New York City FC. Atlanta United, at least in that echelon, we know that they really care about CCL. And the Montreal Impact sort of started the trend of go to Mexico for preseason, and they use that to make a run all the way to the final, which
Atlanta
they almost
United
won.
are Campeones Cup champions.
Exactly.
Experience.
And Cruz Azul are Leagues Cup champions. And you might be wondering, how do I get it's not the fever. What is it? The
Leagues Cup?
Night sweats.
Night sweats? The Leagues Cup? The Leagues Cup, whatever it might be. I'm a huge proponent of this tournament. You know that already. I think it's going to be awesome. So is Cameron Chittick from Twitter.
Leagues Cup
Affliction, yes. I actually don't know if that works. Let us know what you think.
Oh, I like it.
Cameron Chittick on Twitter had this take, which I thought was really, really good. This context, and I put out the thread of how people qualify, makes me appreciate Leagues Cup more. One way or another, whether in Leagues Cup or CCL, we're going to get to see the top 12 MLS teams play Liga MX teams each season. That's awesome and good for tracking the development of the league.
So can you explain who will be in Leagues Cup?
I can. In the East, in the East, MLS Cup, whatever. Right now, with that 5th spot open in CCL, it would be Philly, DC, Red Bulls, Toronto. If Philly qualifies, it would be DC, Red Bulls, Toronto, New England, which I think is a cool group. I love New England being in there because Carlos Vela has been amazing. Gustavo Bo, he knows his way about Liga MX clubs.
Also,
and I think they're going to get better.
And former Interleague champions, Superliga, whatever it was called. What was it? Did you play in that? No?
No.
Well, they won it. Shout out Revs. I think that's the only thing Taylor Twellman ever won.
And then
Whoa.
I'm not saying as a knock. I'm saying the Revs have history in a similar competition.
You're in a mood today.
Said the one who's been leaned on the side, not talking,
fell out of the
just
frame.
on his computer.
Minnesota, Seattle, LA, RSL. In the West, we go into Leagues Cup, so you would have maybe Zlatan, depending on how that shakes out. But also, Seattle has a lot of CCL experience. They've had some success in that as well. Minnesota, I think, would really sort of relish this chance to test themselves at that level as well. And RSL came close to knocking off Tigres this year.
Do we think that if Minnesota hosts, let's say Minnesota wins MLS Cup, gets into CCL, would they host at home, outside?
Oh, that is
At
interesting.
that time of year? That'd be awesome.
No way, could they, right?
God.
There's no way. I mean,
Why?
we were there for the first home game.
It was like mid-April, and it was snowing.
6-foot snowdrifts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I see your point.
Did you not see the
Says
U.S.
the guy
play
wearing
Costa
a
Rica in
flannel.
World Cup
Bobby's
qualifying?
ready for fall. Look at him.
Yeah, me too.
So we're going snow game hopes on that one. All right, look, again, I hope MLS teams take Leagues Cup seriously because it is an awesome opportunity, because it is a chance to test yourself against the best from Liga MX. And by the way, Liga MX has sent their best this season. That's why they won it. That's why it was 2 Liga MX teams in the final. Minnesota United, we're there. Let's talk about it. Again, fire off the confetti cannon. Do you get confetti for your first playoff berth? Yes or no?
Hard no.
No
Hard
confetti?
No.
They did get a front page treatment from the papers in the Twin Cities. They're in. Put the X next to their name. They won last second against Sporting Kansas City. Hassani Dotson, which all of the Loons fans are saying should be Rookie of the Year, got the goal off a deflection right into the corner of the net. Sporting KC dropped yet more points late on, and Adrian Heath afterwards was in an Adrian Heath mood. Congratulations, Adrian Heath, by the way. This was big for him. Quote, I didn't read one magazine. I didn't read one publication that tipped us to be in the Western Conference playoffs, said Heath after this one. It turns out, according to Ben Bear here, he's the source. Direct all vitriol at Ben Bear, at BenBear89 on Twitter. Actually, 3 of 6 did officially on MLSsoccer.com. And those 3 were Ben Bear, Kalen Carr, and Bobby Warshaw. I picked them 9th, Doyle picked them 10th, and Charlie picked them 8th. And then, you're clearing your voice, and why would that be?
Oh, that would be because I was one of the earliest supporters of Minnesota in our season previews.
Yes.
I basically said that
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Roll
you can.
tape.
Roll tape.
Yeah, I'm with you both. I think that this is a playoff team, and I also think that this is a team that could surprise a lot of people, make some noise if they get in. Just saying. You heard it here first. You guys are...
Yes, sir. You did hear it there first.
Adrian Heath. Hello.
Right here.
Hello.
So I think that takes us to more than 50% for Minnesota United, picking them to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but which one of you guys are published in a magazine?
Yeah, that's the problem, Andrew. That's what you're missing
No,
here.
Adrian Heath's still right.
No publications here, no
That's
magazines
true.
here.
He didn't say
He's not
MLS.com on this one.
Right.
He said magazines.
That's true.
It's clearly a us against the world game plan here, which we understand teams do. The part that I don't get and that I don't like is that it is literally them against no one. Everyone is cheering for Minnesota United. It is the feel-good story of Major League Soccer in 2019. This upstart team who had the Goliath Atlanta next to them when they came into the league. Then they finally built this gorgeous stadium. Their fans are fantastic, both in stadium, on social media. They are a fan base and a club you can cheer for, and everyone wanted this team in the playoffs. It is not you against anyone. Why are you doing
Maybe
this?
that's
That
just
is the
their
part that
mojo.
bothers
Maybe
me.
that's what's feeding, that's their fuel, Like they have to have this mentality that they've adopted it early on. They painted themselves as kind of like the dark horse
But
underdogs.
love-
And now that is their identity, Bobby.
Suze, let me say something about life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love is more powerful than hate.
Wow.
They had all of this love.
Dumbledore over here.
They had
Embrace it.
Sounds
is
like
what
a
you're saying.
MLS is
Instagram
love.
caption.
Embrace it.
nobody was cheering against Atlanta United. There's no hate needed. That's all I'm saying.
No,
Yeah.
that's Bobby, I appreciate that.
Listen, Bobby, when your nickname's Ain't She and everyone's challenged you every day, you got to have someone to fight against.
I get, and you adopt the personality of your manager and all that. I get it. I'm just bummed out that there has to be this.
Well, look, that's Adrian Heath's way, and the way worked this year. They're in. They're right now second place in the Western Conference, and they've got LAFC coming to town. So that would be another opportunity to thumb their nose at the haters and say, look, we're going to do it again to LAFC. We've done it before this season. We can beat them. We'll do it again. We'll do it at home, which they won't get that opportunity in the playoffs, of course. But that could keep them across the bracket. It could keep them in second place in the West. And if Minnesota finished second in the West, right now they have allowed 30 fewer goals than they did last year.
That's remarkable.
30 fewer goals. That's literally that's a goal a game.
If only we had a name for this. What would the name be? Would it be the Chad Marshall theorem?
That's the name of the theorem.
It's the name of the thing.
That's true. Look, I'm a huge fan of the Chad Marshall theorem. Ike Opara, I think, is going to win Defender of the Year.
Vito
Minone had a double save in this game. Was crazy.
I love him.
Are you going to give Hassani Dotson the Rookie of the Year? Where do your votes go on that one?
Did we just do this 2 weeks ago?
I know, but he just scored a game-winning goal. He keeps playing.
I didn't realize.
His team is second in the West, and Brandon Aronson's team's second in the...
Brandon Aronson still gets it, but I appreciate the shout-out.
Okay.
He's second place now.
We'll see what the voters decide on that one. Congratulations to Minnesota. The Galaxy quietly won. I guess for them, quietly won. Christian Pavone with a nice goal off a flick from Zlatan.
What a finish.
Nedum Onoha did everything he could, but you couldn't do much about that because the space he created for himself was there. Zlatan with another goal. He's at 28 goals. LA are right behind Minnesota United at 51. Do we, we're far past the narrative point of, oh, God, will they make the playoffs in the E word that you used, Bobby? And they were on the brink of that E word, but then they've really kind of tied it down. They've stepped up. Do you trust them more now than you did when Bobby was giving them the E-word treatment?
No, not at all. I think they take advantage of mistakes because they have talent up top. They take advantage of teams playing poorly. They crush Sporting KC at home. Sporting KC is not a playoff team. They beat a rotated Montreal team at home. Montreal, their first team's not even going to make the playoffs. This is a good win to go on the road at RSL. I'm not going to take away from that. But it's still the same thing where they don't dominate the game in any way. They give up chances the other way. But the goal is Zlatan getting a flick on because he's bigger than everyone and Pavone being special. And then the next goal is Pavone being special and Zlatan being special. They have that. No one wants to play against it. It still exists. But I don't think anything they've done over the last 3 weeks, except for the fact that they've clinched and they have to make the postseason, has changed the way I feel about them.
Yeah, it's a team that plays open games. They say, you're going to get your chances, we're going to get our chances. We have Pavone and Zlatan, and we have David Bingham's been good, right? He is a player that is either high or low. When he's down, he is very bad, and he is a detriment to your team. When he is good, he is very good. These last 3 games, they've given up a ton of chances in every single one. He's been good, and they've got the 2 best players on the other side of the field. I'm with you, David. My opinion of them has not changed. On opening day, I felt if they were to play a single elimination playoff game, they had a very good chance of winning. I feel the exact same way now.
So if Bingham's on a heater, and you have Zlatan and Pavone, and you just have to win, 4 games to win MLS Cup?
Yeah.
That could work out pretty well for you. And they could finish second. They're just a point back from Minnesota United. That would mean all home games until the conference finals against LAFC at LAFC perhaps. And boy, oh boy, would that be fun. That's the top of the West. The bottom of the West remains shaky.
I think we have a shot of still getting in.
I mean,
that's what everyone's up for.
We're getting about as many points as some of those teams. Just saying. Dallas were the big winners on Wednesday. That's because Dallas didn't play.
Yeah.
That's how you do it right now at the bottom of the Western Conference. They now control their own destiny. They're 1 point above the playoff line on 45 points. The Portland Timbers drew 2-2, a late PK for the Revs.
A good call?
Draw.
Give us a breakdown.
I think that was a good call. I think if you call that one, you probably should call the 76-minute one on Abobasi because they're both tugs. But I think that the one in stoppage time is more of a PK than the one before that. But it's going to be tough to swallow if you're a Timbers fan, no matter how you twist this one. I guess we'll start there.
Can I just throw out real quick before we get there?
Yeah.
I thought the Revs were awesome in this game.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to see them in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win, but they played so brave, I guess is the word you'd use. They went on the road at Portland midweek, and they played through everything. They trusted themselves on the ball. They were the better team for 65 minutes of this game. So take away results, Bruce Arena's done a good thing for MLS and for the Revs.
They simplified it this game, right? They stopped trying to overthink it. It was a 4-3-2-1. 3 neutral, defensive-minded passing center mids behind Bo and Hill, who could just ball out, and then a center striker. It was very simple. Whereas the 5 games before that, they tried something new. They tried to get fancy. This was 3 defensive midfielders behind 2 very good attackers and just a normal number 9.
And that seems to be what the format should be in the playoffs because Bo and Hill are that special.
Yes.
They are that special. It is really, really.
But it should be Theo Bunbury up top.
Yeah, I agree with that. But all the way, Steve Clark was insane, and that's why the Revs probably didn't win this game. Like, he was insane. He almost got the penalty late on that Carlos Hill scored. Gio Savarese didn't like a lot of what happened here with the refs. Understandable. It's been a tough couple games for them with that, with the goal line stuff, everything else. They complained about stoppage time. I did the math. Actually, it was exactly 4 minutes when Zahibo got pulled down because Gio Savarese made 2 subs. It took up 1:13. Like, I literally got out the stopwatch and did the math. Portland at Sporting Kansas City. Portland at home against San Jose. You mentioned that San Jose one. I'm going to mention that Sporting KC here are, along with Colorado, potentially one of the big spoilers.
Yeah.
Of
Whoa.
huge spoilers.
Rapids are still in the race, baby.
Yeah, they're still
Don't
in
knock
it.
them out. The
Well,
Rapids aren't spoiling anything. The
That's part of their
Rapids
spoiling.
are getting in the playoffs. That's why they're trying to win games. The Rapids legitimately have a chance to make the postseason. Sorry, that had to be said on this show.
Yeah, it does.
It's true.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Not wrong.
It's true.
They might get knocked out on goal differential. This was a team that was terrible, impossible to watch.
I don't think they can get knocked out. If they were to make it, then they would win on wins. It could not be goal differential.
I don't
it's
think
a little.
that's
It's a
true.
time because they would
Okay.
need 2 more
The
wins. It
semantics
doesn't
here.
matter.
We're gonna let them go on us on
I don't
semantics
know.
here.
There's-
Bobby's wrong.
What do you think, Susanna, when you see that result and then you see San Jose with Wondo in the stands just lose one of the just an uber painful game to Philly?
I know. I am. Oh God. So if I'm looking at, I'm looking at Portland. I'm looking at Dallas. I'm looking at San Jose, and oh my God, I think Portland might be in trouble. I really think Portland might be in trouble, and I feel like there's
We
just.
get this. Bobby admitted I was right. We did the calculations while
good.
you guys are talking.
Good.
Okay, sorry, continue.
No, I also think that there's like a mentality problem there, right? There was a few weeks ago when Gio Savarese came out and said, like, he was like, well, it's not going well, and hope we make the playoffs. And it was just that, for whatever reason, that really kind of resonated with me, because I'm like, that's not what I would want to hear from my head coach. Hope we make the playoffs. No, like and then the stuff going on with Diego Valeri, I don't know what is going on. I feel like this team is scared and they're in panic mode, and that is not boding well for the next couple weeks. And I'm saying this as somebody who picked them to win like the whole thing at the beginning of the season.
I had complete faith that Portland.
I can't
would
believe.
come
Yeah,
home.
the words coming out of my mouth. I'm like, wow.
They would come home and they would do what every other team in that situation has done, which is do
Steamroll.
so well that you rise up that Western Conference,
schedule.
probably into one of these spots that right now LA and Minnesota and
And they were cruising
Seattle,
for a while, and it was like, oh man, they got this nice long home stretch, and I was like, this
And
is going to be a
Fernandez.
cakewalk. This is going to be a cakewalk.
How
for
quickly
Portland.
did Fernandez go from the potential newcomer of the year to the bust of the year?
It's great. The way we were talking about him.
Producer's in my ear right now because we made a bet that his rate was unsustainable. But there is no.
I didn't believe that either. I thought Fernandez was just going to keep like it was.
Well,
it's
I
not
thought the
stopping
team
for
would
him.
continue to create the chances, which that's the interesting part to me that's gone away. It's not just like, well, this guy can't finish, this guy isn't confident. The team has failed to create the chances they were creating, and it's like we've talked about it on the show. I think Charlie came on one time when he was talking about the year they went to MLS Cup with the Revs, where when you stepped on the field, you knew what you were capable of. You knew you were going to get 2 goals every game, that if you made one mistake, it didn't matter because you were still going to get there. Portland steps on the field, they don't know what they're going to get. The moment they give up a good chance or they give up a goal, they panic and they freak out, like you said, because they're like, well, where's a goal going to come from? Which sounds mind-blowing when you talk about Blanco, Valeri, and Fernandez.
And Abobasi.
Abobasi, yeah.
Abobasi with the finish of the year. That second goal, finish of the year. The dummy header, pretends he's going to head it, doesn't head it, is diving. It hits his right foot, clearly intentionally, near post. Just saying. Put that up there. Carlos Vela, Jeremy Abobasi. 11 goals this year, though. So congratulations to Abobasi. Let's talk Diego Valeri before we get to San Jose. There are some issues with his contract. Taylor Twellman broke that story on ESPN. Sam Stejko of The Athletic bird-dogged it and followed up. Valeri, as you may know, is in the final guaranteed year of his contract. There is an option for 2020. He is making $2.42 million this season, according to the Players Union. He wants, according to Sam's reporting, a new 2-year guaranteed DP deal signed in the summer. Of course, that didn't happen. To be a DP, you have to be above, in this current CBA, $1.53 million per season. The Timbers held off. They wanted to see how he held up. And then when they started negotiations, it just didn't go very well because the Timbers would like to have an open DP slot going forward. They are open to maybe a DP slot next year and TAM in the next season, but preferably I think it would be just a TAM contract, again, up to $1.53 million as it currently stands. Valeri says not interested in those options. They've stopped negotiating. Portland Timbers GM Gavin Wilkinson is reportedly planning to fly to Argentina later on, maybe right now even, to talk to Valeri's representation to try to salvage this thing. And then Diego Valeri, after this draw against the Revs, went to the capo stand of the Timbers Army and, quote, said goodbye, according to someone who was there, Matthew Lindley, at M. Lindley Music, if you want to go look that one up.
So Portland plays home in 2 weeks.
Right, against San Jose.
On decision day.
Yep.
I don't know what that means. I would say in general, the whole thing's just depressing. Similar to what we talked about with Michael Bradley, you'd like to think there's a space where it makes sense for Valeri to live in the city he loves, to be a part of the club he loves, and probably move on after as a player and be a part of the Timbers, whether it's front office on the business side, player side, coaching, whatever that is. But it's a salary cap league. You only get so many resources. You can't hand one out for a feel-good story or to do the right thing. That's just the reality of sports, but especially in salary cap leagues. You see it in baseball, football, well, not baseball, football and basketball. So there's an in-between place that you'd like to think they can hit, but if not, unfortunately, I can say I can understand for the Timbers that they need to keep their... They brought in a DP who's 25 years old in Fernandez. They're building to be competitive for the next 10 years. And they can't hand this to Valeri and say, well, okay, he'll play out his 2 years, then we'll clean all the books and reset after 3 years. That's not the expectations from the fans. That's not the expectations in the club, and that's not the way they've been building.
It is sad. It's incredibly sad. I've been one of the biggest fans of the Diego Valeri Portland Timbers sort of love story, to be honest with you, because that's what it was. I mean, he was in a tough part of his career. He finds a home in Portland. His daughter is being raised there, is part of the fabric of not just that club, but the Thorns.
Yeah, they're like Thorns, Rose City.
Uber fans. Yeah,
Riveters.
yeah, it's massive for them. He's got 8 goals and 16 assists this year, so it's not a bad season by any stretch for Diego Valeri. Now, a lot of those assists have been of the secondary variety. A lot of them have come on set pieces, but assists come where they come. Like, you can't discount the dude. What would you be thinking if you're Diego Valeri? You'd be thinking probably reward me, right? Like,
yeah, and I've earned it.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a statue of me outside this stadium.
You can't think I've earned it. That's not the way it works.
I think it has worked that way a lot.
No, you cannot in this. You cannot in any.
It's about being
sport.
valued, though. I think like it's not saying like I've earned this. It's just being made to feel like you matter and being made to feel like you're important and an integral part of the fabric of that team and that city. And I think that Diego Valeri is one of the nicest human beings that you will ever meet in your entire life. I don't think there's a part of him that's like, I deserve, and in that sort of way where, somebody who might have a bigger ego would say that. But I think that he just wants to, he's brought so much value to this team and that he wants that to be acknowledged. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
You guys are so right. But at some point, you actually have to go with your gut and ask yourself, what is his future? But you can't pay somebody for what they've done in the past. That's how organizations get sunk. That's how you go into a dead contract for 2 years. As a player, does he still hold the value within the MLS landscape of a $1.6 million player with the way he's played in the last 10 games, with his age, with the potential of injuries on the turf? The answer is no. We all love Diego Valeri. We want to see him back. I don't know how you can reasonably suggest he deserves a DP spot for a 2-year guaranteed contract.
This is what happened to RSL with Javi Mo, right? Javi Mo did the things he did. He won them an MLS Cup, got to CCL final. He felt like he deserved, which is what we said. And you're right.
Came back from a terrible injury, just as Diego Valeri did multiple times with the Timbers.
But the reality of sports is everything has to be based on what you can do for me today and tomorrow. It can't just be based on what happened yesterday.
He's still a good player.
He is. 8 and 16 is not a bad season.
Yes,
so I understand why Diego Valeri comes in there and says, like, hold on. I don't see many players around this league with 8 and 16, no matter how you want to define it. And look, the reporting is that both Portland and Valeri want to find a way for him to stay in Portland, as they should.
Imagine how filthy this team would be, though, if they got him on a TAM deal and brought in another designated player.
Yes.
1, to make his life easier, but 2, just to make them a better team.
Would it be, but what if you're Diego Valeri, what if you just say, yeah, just sign me as a DP, you need help at center back, you could go get some TAM players.
Maybe,
I
or get a DP center back.
Oh, my, Wiebe, I thought you were about to say play Diego Valeri at center back,
No.
and I was about to be so happy.
All right, do you think I'm crazy, Bobby? He's their left back of the future. Okay, some other news here. Let us know what you think about Diego Valeri. We love the man. We hope it all works out for him and the Portland Timbers, and they find a way to stay together. We'll see if they do reach the postseason. San Jose, gut punch on gut punch. I mean, lose 2-1 to Philly, have that penalty kick that was called for them with Aurelian Colin. I think, was it Fierro that he pushed down?
Danny Houston.
Danny Houston taken back via video review by Baldomero Toledo. I mean, whoever it was, somebody got pushed down, and Aurelian Colin did the pushing. Was it a push, or was it more like he ran into their space?
It was a colon. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, it was Aurelian Colin.
It was a distinct Aurelian colon.
Every time I see Aurelian, I just imagine the CCL moment when he got red carded against Chivas, and he's going down the tunnel, and you see him from the back, and he's just shaking his finger to nobody in the tunnel. It was one of the best MLS moments, CCL moments.
That was also wasn't that like 2 days after he got to Red Bull or something?
Yeah, it was very quick. It was very quick.
You have to stamp yourself out. There was some moments, by the way, Philly played some gorgeous soccer, and it died on the foot of Aurelian Colin. Like a beautiful flower dying on the vine.
Well, you know what's actually really interesting about it is he is the one on that team, the team that is supposed to be Red Bulls in it, he is the one that plays the most Red Bulls passes, right? If Aaron Long gets those balls, he dumps into the striker, they win the second ball. Mark McKenzie doesn't do that. Jack Elliott. So that's what I find interesting about it, is that they want to transform style. Aurelian Colin is the one who does it the most, but it looks the worst because that's not actually how they play all that often. So that's the way I would comment on that, Aurelian.
Bobby, this was in the rundown, a place where you could talk about the Quakes. So I'm opening it up to you to talk about the Quakes and what happened, because I think they've lost 4 straight at the worst time of the season.
They've lost 4 straight and 7 of 9. My comment is that they have played well through those. If you look at other losing streaks recently, whether it's Portland, New England, Orlando, Montreal, those teams have played poorly, right? The Quakes have continued to be very good. They've continued to dominate games. The one specific detail is that so much of their attack comes down the flanks, comes from Christian Espinoza and Vaco. When they were flying in the middle of the year, those two were awesome. Espinoza was roasting dudes. Vaco was dribbling through players. When they stop producing that final pass, and they're doing pretty much everything except that final pass, they're just no longer the same team. So it's not that the team has gotten worse. They just lost that little bit from those two players.
And of course, no Espinoza in this game. It was painful.
And for Fierro, I don't think the expectation was he was going to be the guy this year. But every time you make a signing like this, you hope, can we get enough year one?
Get a moment or two.
And then that gets us to year 2 where we believe in you as our lockdown starter or whatever it is, because Lopez is on loan still. But he had 2 or 3 huge moments in this game that he couldn't put away.
Yeah, that's kind of the story of the Quakes right now. They've been a darling, no doubt about that. Mateus Almeida coming back from... I'd say the gutter, and then making this big run. So we'll see what happens. There's 2 spots remaining in the West, and it's basically Portland, San Jose, and Dallas fighting for them right now. Huge news. Tuda Ine says Andres Guardado to the fire. Probably going to happen in 2020. He would come up from Real Betis, and he just re-upped for 2 years with Betis.
Did he officially re-up, or it's reported that he's going to re-up?
Good question.
I thought Tom Marshall reported that it looks like he's going to. It's not done.
Also, Ben Baer told me that this is what happened. So I was just trusting him on this one, but it really does feel like one of those moments where an agent was like, hey, float this around.
Maybe they were just waiting to send you the Guardado, the
That's
updated
what it was.
bobblehead.
That's what
There's
it was.
At the factory, they've
Inside
got
Soldier Field,
the whole thing is built. They're just waiting to stick the head on it. And
Yep.
Yeah, it just didn't happen for him.
So smart.
Shimaswa will have to be our consolation prize here. Let's go to the mailbag. Did we get anything on the Columbus Crew Stadium renderings? Just curious.
Not specifically. Would you like to talk about it?
Sure, I would. It looks beautiful. Looks incredible. I'm loving it.
Are you sad?
The roof over the entire thing.
You still look at stadium renderings?
Of course I still look at stadium renderings. Come on, man. That's the MLS magazine of MLS news. Like, it doesn't really exist, but like we love it. We wish we
has
had
a
more
kid,
of them.
so he has to live vicariously through stadium renderings.
Right.
After he puts Cam to sleep.
Yeah.
But
I wish I had like a kid rendering where it was like, this is your kid at 18. Just, super successful, out of the house.
Are you not sad at all about Crew Stadium? I feel sad.
Do you really?
Yeah, I went to my first USA Mexico game that I went to like for World Cup qualifying. I'd been to ones at Giant Stadium before. Was there, and like that was a moment that I had looked forward to like my whole fandom, and it was like lived up to it.
We don't think that the culture can't just carry over. It won't be exactly the same, but it kind of they lost there to Mexico.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was there.
Same.
Woof.
Yeah.
I wonder what the coincidence is there.
No, but I was at the one before that, and it was a Dos Acero to seal the trip to Brazil.
Got it.
So you can't put this one on me. Crew Stadium looks dope, or the new whatever they're going to call it, with the roof and the Nordeca, and each side having its own individual sort of identity. I mean, it looks great. Super excited for Crew fans.
Yeah, fan base deserves the refresh if that's what it is. Obviously saving the club, but on top of that, just being
And the neighborhood
anchors
that
of
it's
the league.
in, like the location where it's at, is so sick. Like it's just going to be so great for Columbus. It's so accessible.
I think,
right there.
I think they break ground on October 10th. So big day in the soccer world. Crew breaks ground. Your boy gets married. Let's go.
Wow.
I saw that one coming like 10 minutes ago.
Wow.
All right, how about the mailbag? 401-206-0MLS, Extratime at MLSsoccer.com. What do we got?
Zach from Minneapolis says, more of a comment than a question, but Heath's decision to sub on Hassani Dotson and Abu Danladi won the game against SKC for Minnesota United last night. They switched from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-2-3 with Hassani playing a nearly free role, covered incredible for Metanire when he went forward, filled in every possible space. I'm pretty sure he has defensive actions in every corner of the field. Rightfully so. Give Heath grief for poor tactics and game management, but he crushed it tonight and gave us the win. Zach from Minneapolis.
So 4-3-3, as Bobby rightfully pointed out.
Not the 4-2-3.
The math
I really
skills.
appreciate Bobby moving the words while I'm reading them.
From Zach.
That was helpful.
Again, Heath deserves credit for what they've done this season, no doubt about that. What else we got?
Oh, that's all you're going to give Adrian Heath?
Well, no, we already talked about it. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to get through more.
Yes, he got it right. He got it right a couple again against LAFC. He's gotten it right a couple times.
But we can also argue about that U.S. Open Cup
And I
lineup, too.
wasn't going to go there.
I'm just saying, because that was an opportunity for silverware.
Michael McGuire, so do you think he wrote Matarrita was a good investment for NYCFC?
Yes.
I think he meant Mitrita.
Oh, Matarrita was, too.
Yeah, but it wasn't that big of an investment.
Wasn't a little investment. He was a TAM player, wasn't he?
I guess.
Wasn't a minor investment. He's one of the better left backs in the league. Like, both sides, good job. Well done.
Well, so I guess both of them are good investments.
There's been a lot of good
job.
investments.
Logan from PDX says, in the MLS Hall of Fame conversation, how did Valeri and Chara not come up? They both have to be in hands
That's
down.
a great point. That's an incredible point. Both would be in hands down in the MLS section. Now, if you're talking about
Valeri
the
has
National
5
Soccer
years?
Hall of Fame part, so does Diego. I mean,
No, I'm asking if Valeri does.
yeah.
Okay.
You can only give DP money to one of them, Andrew, on a 2-year guaranteed contract.
Whoa.
Who you giving it to?
You're putting me in a bad spot here. You're putting me in a real tough spot. I don't get paid to make these decisions, Bobby, and so I won't make these decisions. But it's a good question for Timbers fans. Let us know what you think. Maybe if we get Gavin on the show, we can ask him that question. And
Can I add something with the Tricha thing real quick? I know, I'm sorry to backtrack. They still need to get resale value. You don't spend that type of money in world football accepting that you're going to eat the cost, right? Almost winning with that cost isn't enough. You have to win and then either recoup the cost or make more money on a future sale. He's still in his prime. He still has resale value if he continues to play well. So we have to mention that with his
it's a good point on investment. You have to at some point realize that investment. What else we got?
If we're also going back on things, by the way, San Jose would have made the playoffs last year based on their point total. So,
Oh, wow.
it's a little
With
shout out to them.
Wow, with one less spot, too.
With a little bit of, I may have
no,
gotten
to
that
the
wrong.
seventh, maybe?
San Jose
down
did
to
not.
the seventh?
Yeah.
San Jose had the worst season in league history last year.
We know that.
No, their 2019 record would have gotten them in 2018 in terms of what they've done this year. Kind of all we have to close out on is people really don't like referees. Do you want to hear specifics on
Shocker.
that?
I don't really want to hear specifics
Shocker.
on that. I will acknowledge that they're look, we do instant replay every single week. We look at a lot of them. It's extremely difficult.
Is it though?
What, instant replay or refereeing?
I feel like it's not.
Instant replay or refereeing?
Refereeing. Instant replay is difficult.
Wow. That's tongue in cheek, I think, from Bobby. It's really hard. There have been some instances that I've had to scratch my head at. Watch it.
Who's your favorite? Who do you guys think is the best?
I actually think Drew Fisher is very good. He's one of the emails we got.
Yeah, I think
about
Drew
the
Fisher's
Canadian
good too.
Championship.
I think Saghafi has been mostly good this year.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think who else.
I'm a Sabiga guy.
Yes, yeah.
I think of myself Stan Sabiga or
Sabiga.
Mount Sabiga.
This you can tell we're in the final minute here. Is it time to wrap,
Susanna, who's your referee of choice?
I couldn't even. I don't know. I wouldn't even know who to. I'm with the people out here. I just hate them all.
And we'll wrap it up.
I'm kidding.
We'll wrap it up now. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the action this weekend. It's at 5 and 7:30. Susanna and the crew got the Matchday Central duties, so they will guide you through the pregame as well as the postgame, the entirety of Week 30.
And then at Red Bull Arena for NWSL or MLS, I'll be there, so say what up.
Nice.
Janato Va homies.
401-206-0MLS, Extratime@MLSsoccer.com. We're out of here. We'll see you on Monday, everybody.